All right. Welcome back to Decked Out and Dialed In, the podcast where trading cards meet brain science. I'm your resident cardboard addict and lifelong TCG player, Stefan, and I'm joined by.
Dr. Lore, I'm the neighborhood psychologist who's here to make you question every single pack you've ever ripped.
Ouch, but fair. Today, we're diving into a topic I think every TCG player will relate to, that rush you get when you're cracking open a fresh booster pack. Why does it feel so good? Why can it feel addicting? And when does it cross the line?
Yeah, I think those are some great questions. As we move forward in this conversation, I really want to let everyone know that when it comes to topics we're talking about today, this is general educational purposes. This is not meant for particular medical advice and or clinical advice in any way, just more general conversation and education on the topics we're discussing today. And I think today is a really important one because I think all of us can relate in some way to that kind of thrill we get when we break that pack and we hit that big legendary or chanted or even the new
Iconic,
classification.
right?
Yeah, the new iconics. Yes, yes. And I think we all can relate to that feeling, but we also can relate to kind of almost the letdown when we get that when we're like, okay, one more pack, and we don't hit that, and how we can feel that letdown, that dip, and that sometimes can lead us to buy more, or other maybe some other unhealthy behaviors.
Yeah, definitely the chase. I know that I am a sucker for it. And when it comes to the new sets, I open way more packs than I care to admit on a recorded video.
I'm gonna be really transparent with you as well. I'm known as locals when we do win because of my locals. There is like some prizing. Some people get store credit, and I'm known to get the packs every single
Same.
time. Get the packs,
Yep.
and
It's fun. I like it. It's not only is it rewarding, and I know it like the age old question, and we'll probably dive into it in a little bit, but is do you take the packs or do you take the store credit? Because store credit, you just get the card outright, but you're missing that effect that I think is intentional when it comes to the booster packs, and it is the chase, right? So like what feels better? Spending $50 for Dumbo or spending $6.50 for the chance to get a Dumbo?
and the problem is that when you get that one hit, when you actually get it, you're like, oh, one more pack and get it. You're like, oh, it was worth it. See how it was worth it. But there is some neuroscience and some psychology behind why that's there and how that actually leads us to potentially engage in some maladaptive behaviors. And I'm not, again, please don't get me wrong when I say that. Like, I'm not saying that going out and breaking some packs with friends and having social and being fun with it, or taking some of that prize money that you won from a local or a tournament and breaking some packs is naturally in itself unhealthy. Because please don't hear me saying that, but I think when it can get to that place, and I think all of us can relate to maybe a time that maybe has gone over to an unhealthy place, especially if we're trying to soothe some rough play, maybe that that game, or we're really trying to get that kind of feel good from that pack. It's all depending on kind of what you're trying to get out of the experience.
Yeah, there's two things that you said that like really makes sense because there is, a responsibility. And actually that it was two things that I wanted to say after the fact. Sorry. But, you know, let's just call this what it is. TCGs tend to be like a luxury hobby,
Mhm.
right? So the cost to play is, you know, it on paper, it's intended to be relative towards the amount of resources that you pour into it, right? Meaning that there are cards that are low rarity, that or min rarity, right? So you can just get like the non-foil versions of the cards, and then there are the people who like to max rarity their deck, so they get the card. It has the same effect, but it's just shiny, so, and a lot of people like that, myself included. But yeah, and it's important to like again understand the responsibility behind it too, because yeah, I mean, let's look at it for example. I know those new like the collector and gift packs came out recently, and you have the promo Tinkerbell in the collector set, and then the foil or like the promo Elsa in the gift set. So two very beautiful cards. I would say one absolutely very playable card.
Yeah.
Other one, it's here and there. I mean, mainly in like the blue steel decks. But like there's you gotta look at it like a lot of people will be like, do I just want to buy the promo and just like outright because they're actually not that expensive.
Mm-mm.
or do I want, like, I'll get packs and I could get more. And it's, it's at one of those points that you can try to be, you should try to be responsible because, and I think we'll dive more into that as we try to differentiate what is good behavior when it comes to feeling that need for like that dopamine hit versus like do rewarding uh, rewarding yourself
Yeah.
responsibly, that is, right? And that could be in the case of playing, in your weekly locals, right? You could think of it as you put the entry fee in, right? And you reward yourself with good performance by the pricing that comes out. And if you keep within that system, that feels like a way to provide positive reinforcement into good behavior or great performance. And then, again, nothing stopping you from getting a couple more packs, something like that. But again, just doing it responsibly.
Yeah, 100%. And again, even when you were talking, I'm gonna try to not feel called out my personal self because you don't look at my enchanted out and foiled out Blurple deck that I play, because we all have that personal thing, like things that we like and we're gravitated towards more things we want to, and everyone enters this kind of like you said, like luxury hobby with whatever resources they have and put forth whatever percentage they feel appropriate for that. In this conversation, I hope people that listen to it don't feel in particularly called out, because it's a time to reflect on your personal situation and not one size fits all for everyone. Because
Yeah,
someone that comes in this hobby with maybe expendable resources, it might look very different than a person with maybe less resources in that. So at the end of the day, it also just comes to what you pull. Like I pulled two or the two or three of the enchantments I'm running in my deck right now, so I'm not out there paying that dollar for those, but one washes out the other sometimes. But
for sure.
I'm curious with your experience, because you've done kind of TCG world a little bit longer. What do you feel you've seen through the community that you could say maybe differentiates the healthy versus unhealthy aspect of kind of the pack breaking culture?
I would say those seeking rewards or like that dopamine hit in their worst, their worst positions typically feel pretty bad, right? So like let's say, you're hyped up, it's the set champs, you're feeling good about your list. You X1 on the first round, X2 on the second, breakers aren't looking good and you in your mind. And I know a lot of this could be uh transferable motivation from traditional sports, right? Like they like you want the trophy, you want the championship, right? So you put yourself in that mindset, I'm walking out with that promo and that mat, right? So then when you know that you're in a spot where you're no longer getting that promo or the mat, you're looking for something cheap and quick to fix that feeling to kind of put you right back in a good headspace. So you're like, oh, I'll just buy packs. They're here. Maybe I'll just get a handful, and then you miss, and then you're like, I'll just get a handful more. That just means the better cards are coming, and it's just it's not a healthy feedback loop, right? And you can get
Yes.
stuck, and again, you can finally hit something that's worth, but then you do the math and realize you've opened up more product than the card that you hit is worth. So you were still better off buying the single rather than chasing it.
100%. I love what you said there, because I think that's one of the big tells when we talk about healthy versus unhealthy behaviors is, are we trying to soothe something? Is it this fun thing? Because we can replace packs with kind of other things, like potentially even substances. If we're trying to soothe an emotion, trying to soothe ourselves for this external piece, it tends to not be as healthy for us as if we are just really trying to deal with that emotion in an effective way and not trying to externalize kind of the soothing process of that. And pack breaking is actually designed in some ways, packs are designed in some ways to have a little bit of that addictive quality to them. They are what they call a variable ratio reinforcer. So basically what that means is they're kind of more in the random reinforcement rate, which that's basically what that means is like you hit kind of randomly, right? There is a certain numbers per box, but you don't know what pack that is. It's kind of more the random place. It's going to be very close to like your slot machine kind of reinforcement rate. And what we know is that kind of hits your brain likes that kind of random and not kind of scheduled out kind of reinforcer a little more. And it becomes easier to be addicted to those type of things. So there's actually a neurochemical or chemical release called serotonin and dopamine in our brain when we do kind of have those hits. And because our brain doesn't know it's coming, it actually has a bigger impact on our brain. So, you do have that kind of hit of dopamine, that really feel good, that high, and it's kind of set up to be that way, unfortunately.
Yeah. It's tough because while, just kind of honing back on the part where we talk about the luxury hobby being relative to the people who play the game, you can kind of find some people that are down bad, right?
Mm,
And they're just like that little dopamine hit can mean much more than the person who can comfortably open 10, 12, or an entire box every week during locals, right? So that's always the interesting part about it. And again, it's just about trying to be really responsible about it because, you just don't want to put yourself in a bad position where like you're taking things that you may have like budgeted for and taking from that to chase something that's unhealthy. And it's funny because I know here specifically, um, for card games in general, they there is some type of indication that shows like the what we want to call like the hit rates,
mhm,
right? As to each rare, like the booster pack will tell you you'll get X amount of cards that are common and uncommon. You'll always get 3 slots that can either be, or I'm just using like the little Kana pack in reference, but 2 more slots that can be rare or higher.
mhm.
And then that last slot will be a foil that can be all the way up to the iconic, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like they obviously to protect themselves, like I think that is a stat that's not publicly shared for reasons, but that's the closest that they are able to get to actually like follow maybe some type of baseline that says you need to indicate like the rates that you could be getting
Yeah.
those cards.
And then every individual pack's different too, because then you have the pack inside the cases. I don't know if you've had this experience, but I know I always get a case of sealed product. That's kind of a case and trove is my go-to kind of at the start of every set. The last 2 cases I've got didn't even have an enchanted in them. I don't know if, you've had that experience as well.
So I will say that I did save for the most recent set, Fabled, that came out with the intention on going pretty heavy because I really wanted to try to hit the iconic.
Mm,
So I actually planned for 3 cases,
nice.
2 troves, but this was like over time and trading. So like, sure there was like some money contribution, but there were also like the store credit I've accumulated over time from playing in locals, trading and stuff. So like again, planning around that budget, like let's say like out of pocket responsibly, you spend X amount of dollars. That's totally fine as long as you're kind of like, and again, it does fuel the TCG economy, right? Because stores operate well on buying and selling as well. So like there's that too. But long story short, yes, like the goal was to try to open as much as we can. I typically get a trove, but I accidentally ordered another one. So I ended up with 2 troves and the 3 cases, and I'd say we did pretty good. We hit the Mickey iconic.
Oh, nice.
We got 2 enchanteds, and I think going based off of just the rarities sake, I think we got every rare, super rare playset plus,
Mm,
and I was
nice.
only missing 2 legendaries, which were reprints. So I'm not even like if I get them in other packs, cool. But I got the one of the Hades yesterday during the set champs. So, and the other one is Stitch Surfer.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I get it when I get it, but I'm not chasing it, right? But it's again relative hobby to what you want to put into it. But yeah, I remember like I feel like a lot of people were talking about like the open rates. Like there were some cases that were insane, right?
Mm,
They even had reports of like 2 enchanteds, right?
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
imagine what that type of system, also including a brand new rarity level.
Mhm.
and due to somebody who really, like, they had their mind set on opening up, an iconic, right? So, like,
Oh, yeah.
how, you know, how far are you willing to go to get it? I mean, if you do the math, like, let's just go based off of the retail pricing for everything, and let's say that only thing I was focused on was the iconic Mickey. So, right now, or I checked today, I think I saw it selling on, like, TCG Player for, like, 1,300.
Okay.
Um, and the case is, because let's say after tax, like 150 a case, MSRP, right? So that's 600 a case. That's 1800, and then the card is worth 1,300, right? So,
Mhm.
like, it doesn't scale appropriately. Like, if you're going into this opening packs thinking that you're gonna plus, I promise you that is not the case.
Yeah, yeah,
It will
you're
always
right.
be better to buy singles, but it doesn't take away that experience you get from opening the packs. Like, don't get me wrong, when my daughter opened up the iconic, that is a core memory, right?
Yeah.
Like her natural reaction to it, like, we were all excited. She opened up in the store, so everybody in the store started cheering. Like, you truly cannot put a dollar amount on that experience. But I also think it reinforces, like, "Oh, I wanna open more. I wanna, I love that." So, like, again, the system itself reinforces, it can be reinforcing bad behavior. I feel like predatory is a strong word for it, but I almost
Yeah.
feel like that's, like, the system that ends up happening. So, it's tough because, like, I think a lot of us want to play the game, right? There's playing the game, there's collecting the game, then there's doing both, right? So you want to be, like, figuring out is what's like the most responsible way of doing it.
I agree with you. I think that's just the needle we have to thread sometimes because, you know, you increase because you gotta have both, right? Because I understand the other side of the spectrum of this idea of, well, increases rarities, but also, that decreases the amount that's out there and, value and being able to, like, if you do pull those, you can trade that value in and do those things with it and becomes important to kind of economically in that sense. But go back to the more you make things rare, again, you have that kind of dopamine hit. And I think if you start to associate that dopamine hit, that external kind of dopamine or a lift in our mood, and we're searching for that, it also plays right into almost when we don't hit. So when we don't hit, we kind of have that loss aversion, right? That almost loss aversion is more of a higher sense of dread than what, normally should be there, right? So, in a normal time where I take a pack and I break it and I don't get something, I'm like, okay, but if I'm already feeling down, right? I'm trying to use this pack to make myself feel better by pulling something good. And then I don't hit, I bury myself even more. So what do I do there? Then I double down on the same strategy again of buying another pack and another pack and another pack. And it kind of keeps me in that kind of rut of getting this external soothing of this emotion through buying the pack. And that's where I think we can end up stretching ourselves too thin economically, stretch ourselves too thin. With this, even the appropriateness of doing the packs, right? And I think I've seen things that even at my locals where a couple packs have turned into buying a whole basically a whole case, not a case, or a whole booster box, and if you buy them per pack, it's way more expensive than you buy the just the silk booster box. Again, I think, really looking at how that system is not necessarily set up to be. I don't think the system's set up to be predatory in itself. I do agree with you on that. I think it's just a system in general when you have a limited quantity of numbers of things and you try to make rarities differently because, like, it's kind of important for the TCG realm to have that be there in some ways to bring value to these pieces of cardboard because they don't intrinsically really have a lot of value in them, just like being
Right.
there.
Yeah, and that's funny too that you mentioned that because I was thinking about that. I was waiting for the right time to interject. Um, the 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 value of these cards are perceived.
Yeah.
So, like, if I show my wife this iconic Mickey card, and I'm like, "You don't understand, like, this is really hard to get. Apparently, it like the ratio is just like," again, I like showed her like some numbers that someone was trying to calculate, and she's like, "It's pretty, like, but it's cardboard. Like, what are you gonna do with it, right?" And it just first it's like sometimes it could just like shatter your soul, right? But it is perceived value, right? Like I mean, this is a new rarity, right? But what happens when like, the next set of iconics come out in the new set? Or let's say they do even more rare card, right? So like the focus is taken off of like, I need the iconics. Now I need to get the super iconic,
The
the hyper
Miconic.
iconic, right? So like, that's it. And I just always found that like just a really interesting aspect about it, right?
Yeah.
We see some of these cards that again, like you're like the first one I remember, were you play I don't think you said you were playing the Rise of the Floodborn, right? The second set?
I started set 1, day 1. That's when
Oh,
my
you
first
did? Okay, perfect. So did you either acquire, or buy, the Beast Tragic Hero? Those were sitting around $50 at one point.
I got lucky.
Okay,
I ended up pulling, I went to Target, got 3 packs, 3 random packs,
okay.
and I got 2 in 1. 2, I got a foil and a regular beast in 1, and then in the other 2, I got a beast. So I got 4 out of 3 packs.
That's insane.
There's, literally a picture on my Instagram of me holding to the foil and the regular I got. I was like, "I got 'em!"
Nice. Yeah, but, like, exactly, right? So, like,
Mhm.
at that time and now, like, don't go to TCG Player and look up how much that card's worth.
Yeah, I feel like that's with every set. You're so right. Like we pay up for these cards, and like I think even like Maui Half Shark, right? They were, or even or the Tamatoa last set was a great example.
Yeah, I mean, both of them, like,
Yeah,
because red blue was the deck to play.
yeah.
So, like, it's just insane. But now you look at those cards, and they've, you could say that they have, what is that term that they use in stock markets? I forgot what they normalize. Is that what it is?
Hmm.
Or correction, right? It's
Yeah.
corrected, right? So like you come to think about it, like, right, we're like the treadmill is there. We're in Fabled. Dumbo is the card to play, right? But what about when it's no longer the card to play, right? And then you look back and you're like, wow, I spent X amount of dollars on acquiring Dumbos, or whether it was trying to open them in packs or buying them outright. So, it's just an interesting observation as we continue to see this game evolve.
Oh, 100%. I think, or not interestingly, but just in the context of this game, I think there's some needed part of that, right? I'm not here to demonize that part of the game, because I think people are right. There's value we want. If I'm spending X amount of dollars, I want the at least opportunity to have some value in this and some stable value in my cards. I think that's a valid of any hobby, right? Any hobby. If I'm going to spend X amount of dollars, I want the opportunity to potentially make at least similar amount of value out of that. Totally, totally get that. Not trying to attack that. I think the problem lies is when we step outside of that realm, or we find it interfering with other aspects of our life. And I think whether that be, I think the first big point or big red flag we should look out for is like exceeding that monthly budget. Like if I set a monthly budget for, or even a weekly budget for Lorcana or whatever TCG you play, right? I'm going to spend, $15 a week, or 18. That might be an entry fee at a local and a pack, right? Cool. That is my monthly budget for that thing. And if I find myself doubling that, tripling that, or even succeeding that week after week or month after month, that's the first I think red flag that's saying maybe I'm using by breaking these packs in an unhealthy manner.
Yeah, for sure. I'm guilty of it as well. I think one of the things that, so like I was at, not this past set champs, but um, oh wait, was it this set champ? I'm trying to remember. Yes, I think actually it was this past weekend. I had a really bad start. I was at X2, um, and it just so happened that the store that I was playing at had the collector sets and the gift sets, right? And they had just enough for me to complete the place because I bought one gift set at another store. They've been not easy to get, but I'm sure like, through regular like obviously I'm at the store, I'm seeking instant gratification, I'm feeling down, and then I just thought about the packs too, right? I'm like, oh, I'm sure I'll do great on the packs, right? So I ended up getting 4 of the collector's kit, the starter kit. So I got the 4 Tinkerbells, 3 gift boxes, so I got the 3 Elsa's. So I was happy about that. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna hang out with the friends that are there,
Yeah.
watch them play, but then I'm opening up the packs and I'm like, miss, and literally I don't think I pulled anything worth mentioning in those packs, and that was, I mean, you do the math, it's like a lot, right? So like
Yeah.
I'm down on entry, right? If
Mhm.
we're gonna put a dollar amount on that, I'm down on product. Like I'm down bad,
Yeah.
right? And there's and the cards didn't help. And like, reflecting back, probably a bad choice, but you know, I think being able to identify that is the first step in correcting it, right?
Yeah.
Like take the set champs that I played on Sunday, right? I did pretty well, right? It was a 17 or 18 player set champs.
Nice.
Um, got into the finals, got second place, got rewarded with 9 packs, the promo, and in those 9 packs, I ended up pulling a Dumbo and a Hades. All in between entry and snack, I paid $25. Right. So like it tends to like, you could try to say, oh, it evens itself out, but like that is a way to like, you know, I earn the packs through
Mhm.
great play. Like I mentioned earlier in the episode, this is the type of behavior we should be trying to reinforce because it's cost effective.
Mhm.
You are plussing, right? And overall, I think you just have to recognize like if you're there to play in a highly competitive event, whether it's a set champ, DLC, third party event,
Mhm.
and you're not doing well, just understand that that's not a full definition of who you are as a player.
Right.
And don't seek like those cheap dopamine hits.
Mhm.
Whether it is like I know we're talking about like opening packs, but there could be some other type of behavior similar
Yeah.
that your brain is like itching, but like just know that it's not something that will help you in the long term. I think it's something that you should probably later.
Mhm. 100%. I think that leads me to the next point of like the, limit impulse buying slash emotional buying, right? If I'm buying a pack or just to have fun and break it with some people, no harm, no foul, especially if it's in my budget. But if it's to soothe an emotion, if it's impulsive and not like really thought out for its purpose, it's probably not the best time to buy that pack, right? And I think, also boredom packs also are the same thing, right? And I'm probably guilty of that myself. That first round buy, and I'm like watching everyone play. I'm like, oh, bored. I'm gonna go get. That's another. I'm trying to soothe it through a pack, and I think that's not the greatest time. And I'm even guilty of that. So again, being aware enough to say, okay, what's the purpose of me buying this? Am I trying to make myself feel better because I'm not doing so hot, or I'm bored, or is it because I'm actually trying to, break this? It's in my budget, and I'm trying to kind of just have fun with it. I think that needs to be the differentiation when we're talking about buying those packs. So I love your examples and how one can be in the same context, one can be reward versus one can be kind of this maybe less healthy self-soothing strategy.
Yeah, exactly. And then again, uh, being with friends that are supportive in that manner is a huge thing too, right? You want to try to surround yourself with people that can kind of keep you honest with yourself,
Yes.
because some other people might be suffering from that same lack of am I using the term right? Like the dopamine, like
No, 100%.
yeah,
Yeah. Dopamine is one of the feel good chemicals and serotonin in our brain that get released when we do make those big hits. Yeah, that's the correct. And it's a chemical that basically reinforces behavior per
yeah.
se.
So, you might have someone who is more responsible with their money, but they might be trying to chase dopamine vicariously through you. So they might encourage you, yeah, go ahead, open the packs. Let's see if you get anything. And that could be dangerous too, because if you're susceptible to those suggestions, right,
Hmm.
it puts you in a bad spot. And not like no harm, no foul to them. They're just there to watch and again, just get like a kick if you do end up opening something. But surrounding yourself with people that, might be able to be like, hey, like,
Hmm.
maybe you bought too much or, I know you're down bad right now, but maybe like if is there a card you want? Maybe I can, let's make a trade or something like
Yeah.
so like that. I think like surrounding yourself with positive reinforcement people is critical again to just try to make sure your head's in the right space when you're feeling more emotional rather than logical in those states.
I love that, and I think that that was actually, like, later in my one of the next points I was gonna address is that social community piece is so important, and this community is amazing in so many ways,
Yeah, for
just
sure.
like every community, there's ups and downs, but I think of the space I've been in, whether that be some, athletic spaces in my life as well as other collecting hobbies, collected Star Wars action figures for years, have way too many pieces of plastic still they're sealed.
I hope it's insured by this point too.
Yes, we have a rider on our health insurance, but, that community piece is so important, right? I have some good friends at my locals, and sometimes they make little fun comments, and but it'll check me because I won't be thinking. I'll just be reactive, getting that impulsive, and, like, one of my good friends will always be like, "Josh, what do you need?" And they'll stop me, I'm like, "Nothing. I'm just bored, and I shouldn't buy that pack."
I need the happy juice.
That's the great part is, like, he does it in a way that's not really offensive to me. He's just, like, catching me and grounding me in a place of, like, "What do you actually need from this set? You have a play set of everything. You have a play set of everything you could want. What do you need?" I'm like, Nothing. I'm just bored." And, like, that pulls me back. I don't buy the pack, and I think because again, what happens when the more we do that, we start reinforcing that behavior, and again, that becomes the addictive nature to it, where we can be spending too much. We can be doing kind of maybe, you know, have malfeasance or maleficence, yeah,
Yeah.
as in of our intentions, even inside of our relationships or dynamics of our life, where we're doing things that we shouldn't be doing to get the money to buy the packs. And I think it can be a slippery slope, and I've seen people, burn out of this hobby or having to stop playing this hobby because they've had an inappropriate relationship with breaking packs. So, like, I've seen that firsthand with individuals. So I really not reinforcing that type of emotional buying is super important.
Yeah, no, and again, in the end of the day, if you're going all in on opening those packs and you miss, and then you have to do the sad part of trading everything back in or selling it, very, very rarely go in the positive. And, that's again how these card stores, that's a part of their business model, right? Like, obviously they have to buy at buy rates and sell at, retail rates or somewhere in between that. And realistically speaking, if you were to turn this into a money making hobby, or like like if you're trying to do that, and there was actually ways to just make money opening packs, everyone would be doing it because there's nothing like the system itself would be in a way where there's absolutely nothing negative about opening packs. You get the dopamine hit,
Well, yeah.
you'll get you'll always plus on the packs, right? So the system is just not set for that. So it's not sustainable. And it's something that, again, if there's any type of advice that we might be able to share with you before heading to your next locals, so what I'll say is get the card, but buy the single.
Mm. Yeah, buy what you need. If it's a social event where we're getting a couple packs and we're doing a pack rush or having some fun just with a pack and it's
Right.
inside our budget, have fun. But if it's like, again, I'm trying to self-soothe or solve boredom, or it's just impulsive to try to make myself feel good, maybe that's not the best time. And you're right. Like, the even speaking to people that do try to make pack breaking somewhat of a economic thing, the people on Whatnot, I have a couple friends who sell and do some pack breaks on Whatnot, and they talk about, like, it gets to a place where it's not even really fun, like, it becomes like a business, so they're not even breaking packs in a way that's like a person that actually is in love with the IP. They're doing it for a wholly different purpose, so they don't even get that experience. So even the people that are trying to make this a thing where they make money off it aren't getting the same experience that we are at our local event.
Yeah. And, just to kind of touch back on that thing too, if you want to a great suggestion, it's unfortunate. I think a lot of stores should maybe try to explore this, um, because I know it's very popular in like Magic, right? But sealed events, right? So you get the aspect of opening the packs, but you need those cards to play in that specific event. So you can knock out two birds with one stone, right? If you're a great sealed constructed player, like that was one actually my favorite side events from the DLCs. You get, I think, 6 packs, and you make a 40 card deck with them, and the restrictions are a lot wider too because there's no ink color restrictions. You play with everything,
Yeah.
but it's cool because you get to open packs. In Atlanta, they had that side event for Ursula's Return, and I
Mm.
ended up opening up an enchanted piglet, which absolutely bodied every single one of my opponents when I played it. Like it was it's a great story because you know what, like Piglet then and even now is absolutely not playable. So like you create those unique experiences where like you do get value because let's put it this way, there are those people that they will open up these fabled packs and if there's not a Dumbo in there, they just like they throw the cards on the table and let somebody else take them, and that's just absolutely not healthy at all.
Oh, I literally saw it last week at my locals. Is there was a stack of cards just sitting there because someone broke a box looking for an iconic actually, and they were like, "Well, didn't get it, so here's all the cards. I don't need any of them." I'm like, man, like that's maybe not the most the best strategy for that, and that can be rough. And again, I think the highlights that I want people to take away from is we're not here saying breaking packs is the worst. You could do sealed events, you could do it pack rush, you can have fun with breaking packs, but when they become a place of kind of outside of our budget, impulse buying or emotional soothing, that's usually a sign that we shouldn't be buying those packs. And again, use the community, have your accountability buddy. I mean, I have my accountability buddy. Use your accountability buddy and be like, and have them just be like, hey, do you really need that pack? Maybe not today.
Yeah. But, as always, definitely play responsibly, keep your friends honest, and enjoy like the full aspect of the game itself, right? Like the game is still playable whether you have min rarity cards or the max rarity ones, right?
Right.
Your enchanted Elsa doesn't tap down 3 of my characters, it still taps down 2.
And the best is when you have just non-foil regular cards and you beat a max rarity deck, you're like, got it with the less shiny ones.
Yeah, I love it. I did see a Twitter post, I mean, it's a common one, but it's like when my 50-cent card beats your, like, $50 card, and I'm just thinking like Smash, when someone, uses Smash on a Dumbo, but
Oh yeah. Smash on a Dumbo, yeah. I mean, I think this is a great topic, and I think it's something that the community in some ways I know that we put a poll out on X or Twitter, and quite a few people were like, "Yeah, this is something," especially for people that are new to the hobby, right? I think people who are new to the hobby, sometimes when you round it a little more, again, when talking to people that have been in the hobbies a while, they can start seeing that behavior where maybe some new people look, "Oh, what's this fun? This is packs. It doesn't mean anything," but it can lean to some, either burning out the hobby, financial problems, or even, some deeper kind of maybe some emotional struggles that could pop up from that behavior being unchecked in some ways.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think that's gonna wrap it up for today. Again, play responsibly, enjoy, the game responsibly, maybe challenge your friend that might be having, these issues, during locals next time, right? Maybe turn it into like a think of like a game of chicken, right? Like who's gonna give in to buying the pack first or something. Make it fun, but focus on more of the positive reinforcement part of it because, sometimes we're all just kind of chasing something that's not there, but let's try to at least position it in a better way, more positive way than a negative one.
Oh, 100%. I think even in the comments down below and things of that nature, maybe talk about how you support your community with kind of helping each other and support each other, not doing that impulse buying of packs. So, like, what's your strategy? I know, like, I mentioned my accountability friend, just, hey, Josh, what do you need? And that kind of grounds me. So, like, maybe put some of your suggestions, how you can help support the people around you or things that you find helpful down below.
Yep. And also, just to join on for the suggestions, maybe write what you might be interested in hearing in a future episode, right? We're here to talk about the intersection between the card games and the mental health behind it. And I believe there are a lot of unexplored topics. So let us know what you would like us to talk about next.
See y'all next time.
Take care.